Good morning, guys. How's everyone doing? All right, you guys can hear me. So this is IELTS dedicated session number 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about listening, but I don't want to talk too much about it, the homework, because we are going to start the reading. Sound good, everybody? All right, guys. How are you feeling about the IELTS? Do you guys like it? Do you prefer TOEFL? What are the opinions here? J. Raj says, I love it. Mohammed says it's easy, enjoying. I've noticed, I've had a lot of Middle Eastern students over my, teaching career. And I've noticed that it seems like people from that region tend to prefer the IELTS. It's a very regional thing. It's a very regional thing. For example, like China tends to prefer the TOEFL. Some countries in Southeast Asia tend to prefer the IELTS. It's a very kind of regional thing. So anyway, to be honest, I like both of them. Whatever one suits your fancy, go for it. Right. Taciturn, I'm not sure about Africa because to be honest, I really haven't had many African students. In fact, you're some of my first African students. So, teaching in America, I rarely came across a student from Africa. Maybe once, maybe twice, but it wasn't common. Yeah, it wasn't common. But my experience with people from Africa is, for the most part, they seem to be pretty good at English. I know, like Nigeria, English is an official language, or a lot of people speak it. People from Ghana, they tend to be pretty good at English as well. Yeah. All right, guys. Again, India, it wasn't easy for me to come across Indian students, at least not that often, because their English was always so strong. So, for example, it would be quite rare to come across an Indian student who is enrolling in a course for TOEFL or IELTS or something like that, because they tend to just self-study for it. Because, Indians grow up with English, it tends to be relatively easy for them. I don't think I've ever had a Bangladeshi student in person. Yeah, only on GregMap Plus. Yeah, in my teaching career, I don't think I've ever had a Bangladeshi student, a student from Bangladesh. Yeah. Of course, GregMap Plus changed all of that, and so I get to enjoy people from all over the world, which is awesome. Very cool. All right, guys, are you ready? All right, let's go ahead and review the homework. Again, we're not going to be doing all of it. We're just going to be doing questions 1 through 10, then 11 through 15, and then maybe 31 through 35. So this is not going to be a complete listening test. Here we go. Remember, this is just a vocab test. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
Cambridge English, IELTS 10.
Can you guys hear that?
Published by Cambridge University Press and Cambridge English Language Assessment.
Okay, here we go.
2000.
May I help you?
To this version only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning. Welcome to the Early Learning Childcare Centre. How may I help you?
Hi, I spoke to you last week about enrolling my daughter for next year.
Oh, yes. I'll just get some details from you. So, you're her mother?
That's right.
And can I have your name?
It's Carol Smith.
The parent's name is Carol Smith.
That is the most generic English name I've ever seen in my life. What is your name? Carol Smith.
So, Smith has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. Welcome to the Early Learning Childcare Centre. How may I help you?
Hi, I spoke to you last week about enrolling my daughter for next year.
Oh, yes. I'll just get some details from you. So, you're her mother?
That's right.
And can I have your name?
It's Carol Smith.
And your daughter's name?
It's Kate.
Now, We have several groups at the centre and we cater for children from 3 to 5 years old. How old is your daughter?
She's 3 now, but she turns 4 next month.
I'll put 4 down because that's how old she'll be when she starts.
Fine. She's so excited about her birthday and coming to the centre.
Oh, that's good to hear. And what's your address?
It's 46 Wombat Road. That's WOMBAT. Woodside 4032.
And what's the phone number?
Oh, it's 3345 9865.
So, have you decided on the days you would like to bring your daughter here?
I'd prefer Monday and Wednesday if possible.
I'll check. Monday's fine, but I think the centre is already full for Wednesday. Yes. Sorry, it seems to be a very popular day. We can offer you a Thursday or a Friday as well.
Oh dear. I suppose Thursday would be all right because she has swimming on Friday.
OK, got that. Because a lot of parents work, we do offer flexible start and finish times. We're open from 7:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. What time would you like your daughter to start?
I need to get to work in the city by 9, so I'll drop her off at 8:30. You're pretty close to the city here, so that should give me plenty of time to get there.
That's fine. Now, we also need to decide which group she'll be in. We have 2 different groups and they're divided up according to age. There's the green group, which is for 3 to 4-year-olds, and then there's the red group, which is for 4 to 5-year-olds.
She's quite mature for her age and she can already write her name and read a little.
Well, I'll put her in the red group and we can always change her to the green one if there are any problems.
That sounds fine.
OK, let's move on to meals. We can provide breakfast, lunch and dinner. As she's finishing pretty early, she won't need dinner. Will you give her breakfast before she comes?
Yes, she'll only need lunch.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
Okay, so let's actually figure out how they're testing you. So in number 1, they're trying to confuse you by saying many different numbers. 3 to 5, well, she's 3 now. You like that Australian accent? Now. But she'll be 4 when we start. He's like, okay, I'll put down 4. Number 2, what are they trying to test? They're trying to test your spelling ability. And specifically the letter M. Because the letter M is usually confused with the letter N. So that's what they're trying to do here. Days enrolled, again, they're trying to confuse you. They're trying to throw many different days at you, Wednesday, Friday, but both of those did not work, so Thursday. Same thing with number 4. They're throwing many different numbers at you, 7:30 to 6, 9, and then 8:30. And then finally, the same thing in number 5. They're throwing many different words at you, green, red, and you have to choose the correct one. And they do the exact same thing in number 6 as well. So as you can see, they're really, really kind of relying on this, hey, throw multiple options at people, and they have to choose the correct one. Okay, so we will not finish this just for time's sake. All right, so let's go ahead and move to this part. Now, this part, the reason I want to talk about it is because it shows you that IELTS does have a variety of questions, whereas TOEFL doesn't really, like a question types. So in this one here, we have to just choose 2 of these, and you also have to really understand the question. Which 2 things does Alice say about the Dolphin Conservation Trust? Now, are they going to actually say this, like word for word? Of course not. That's too easy. They're going to be changing some of the vocab. For example, children make up most of the membership. Another way to say that is kids are the majority of the members. That's what we're talking about. Look at the last one. Volunteers help in various ways. They might say something like volunteers assist with a range of activities or a range of functions. Just be prepared for the changing vocab. Are you guys ready? Okay, here we go.
Section 2. You will hear a woman call. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Today we're pleased to have on the show Alice Bussell from the Dolphin Conservation Trust. Tell us about the trust, Alice.
Well, obviously its purpose is to protect dolphins in seas all around the world. It tries to raise people's awareness of the problems these marine creatures are suffering because of pollution and other threats. It started 10 years ago and it's one of the fastest growing animal charities in the country, although it's still fairly small compared with the big players in animal protection. We're particularly proud of the work we do in education. Last year, we visited a huge number of schools in different parts of the country, going round to talk to children and young people aged from 5 to 18. In fact, about 35% of our members are children.
Oh.
The charity uses its money to support campaigns, for example, for changes in fishing policy and so forth. It hopes soon to be able to employ its first full-time biologist with dolphin expertise to monitor populations. Of course, many people give their services on a voluntary basis, and we now have volunteers working in observation, office work, and other things.
Okay, so you can approach this from two angles. You can approach it from an elimination angle, and you can approach it from a correct angle. So from an elimination angle, did I choose A or eliminate A? I eliminated it because children are only 35%. 35% is not most, all right? B, is it no, she said it's small, right? It's not that large. She said it's small. And then finally, she said, we hope soon to have a dolphin expert, which means currently, do they have a dolphin expert? Yes or no? No, they don't. So that's the elimination perspective. Let's talk about the correct perspective. I think she literally said we help support campaigns or something like that. Of course, support would be something like finance. And then finally, she said that volunteers do observation. She listed like 3 different tasks, right? Task 1, task 2, task 3. So of course, that's going to be various ways. Cool? All right, let's go ahead and do 13, 14, 15. Same trick, everybody. They're just going to be giving you different vocab. So pleased means she's happy or not happy. Yeah, she's happy, right? And then finally, look at this one. It has brought in extra money. What's another way to say that? It has brought in additional funds. It has allowed us to raise additional money, something like that. All right, here we go. Let's listen.
I should also tell you about the award we won from the Charity Commission last year for our work in education. Although it's not meant an enormous amount of money for us, it has made our activities even more widely publicised and understood. In the long term, it may not bring in extra members, but we're hoping it'll have this effect.
Is it possible to see dolphins in UK waters?
Yes, in several locations. And we have a big project in the east part of Scotland. This has long been a haven for dolphins because it has very little shipping. However, that may be about to change soon because oil companies want to increase exploration there. We're campaigning against this because although there'll be little pollution from oil, exploration creates a lot of underwater noise. It means the dolphins can't rest and socialise. This is how I became interested in dolphin conservation in the first place. I had never seen one, and I hadn't been particularly interested in them at school. Then I came across this story about a family of dolphins who had to leave their home in the Moray Firth because of the oil companies, and about a child who campaigned to save them. I couldn't put the book down. I was hooked.
All right, everybody. So same thing. She said it did not bring in money. Little, I think she used the word, and she said, we hope it'll attract more members, but maybe it won't. And then finally she said it made the work more widely publicized, which is a synonym of better known. She then said there will be little pollution, which allows you to cross out B right there. And then she was talking about the underwater noise. And then finally, why did she become interested? She said she's never seen one. She said she wasn't interested at school, but she was hooked to a book. Correct answer is C. All right, any questions, guys? Okay, what do you think? Easy? We have a question from Sharifa. Hey, Sharifa, how are you?
Hi, Greg. I'm fine. I just want to ask for the first question in that previous section.
Sure.
If we did 4 years instead of just 4, Do you think it's going to be considered right or wrong? Since the question itself, it says one word and or number.
Yeah, I didn't post the the directions because I was running out of room. What do the directions say?
It says one word and or number. So
The problem is we don't say someone's age is 4 years, right? We say they're 4 years old. So if you're including the word years, you would also have to include the word old. So you can't just say 4 years. So I think that would be wrong.
yeah, just a number then.
Yeah, just the number, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Okay. All right, let's do last one. So far we've heard an Australian accent. We've heard a British accent. My prediction is that this bad boy is going to be a North American accent. Notice I'm not saying American, I'm saying North American because that includes the Canucks, the Canadians. Cool? All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and listen to this one.
Section 4.
Talk about self-regulation.
To 40. Carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, I want to talk about self-regulatory focus theory and how the actions of leaders can affect the way followers approach different situations. Self-regulatory focus theory is a theory developed by Torrey Higgins. He says that a person's focus at any given time is to either approach pleasure or avoid pain. These are two basic motivations that each and every one of us has, and they cause us to have different kinds of goals. Promotion goals in different life situations emphasize achievement. Prevention goals are oriented towards the avoidance of punishment.
So as you can see, I told you guys, it's really just a vocab test. Did they use the word focus? No, they used the word emphasize, right? They're just using a synonym of focus, that's all. And then you write down achievement. Okay, keep listening.
In a specific situation, our thoughts might focus more on promotion goals or more on prevention goals. The theory suggests that two factors affect which goals we are focusing on. First, there is a chronic factor. This factor is connected to a person's personality and says that each person has a basic tendency to either focus more on promotion goals or focus more on prevention goals as part of his or her personality. Second, there is a situational factor, which means that the context we are in can make us more likely to focus on one set of goals or the other. For example, we are more likely to be thinking about pleasure and to have promotion goals when we are spending time with a friend. In contrast, if we are working on an important project for our boss, we are more likely to try to avoid making mistakes and therefore have more prevention goals in our mind. Research has shown that the goals we are focusing on at a given time affect the way we think. For example, when focusing on promotion goals, people consider their ideal self, their aspirations and gains. They don't think about what they can lose, so they think in a happier mode. They feel more inspired.
Cool, guys. All right, so that's the listening. I mean, the listening is basically you just go in order, you make predictions, you listen for words that are synonyms. So, for example, consider, things like that. Another one would be emphasize, focus. Okay, that's it. We're now going to talk about the reading. A score of 35 out of 40 would probably be an 8.0. an 8.0. But I got to be honest, it was weird. I was teaching this kid, kind of a younger kid, not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, and we spent a lot of time on the IELTS, like a lot of time, and he was just knocking it out of the park. On the listening, he was getting 39 out of 40, 37 out of 40, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to kill it. And then on test day, he got a 6.0 on listening. What happened? I don't know. I honestly do not know. So, practice is good, but maybe being in the high pressure environment or something. I don't think that the IELTS is getting more difficult. I don't think it's getting more difficult. I just think that maybe he didn't handle the test anxiety well, or, who knows. Yeah. All right, guys, let's talk about reading. The good news about reading is it's very, very, very similar to the listening. I mean, very similar. You're basically just doing vocab. That's all it is, right? So let me actually walk you through this passage. So this passage is called Stepwells. And as you can see, it's more presented like a magazine article. Doesn't this look more like a magazine article than the TOEFL? The TOEFL looks more like an academic article. This is more like a magazine. They have like a subheading. They have this cool looking title. They have cool font. And it says, a millennium ago, stepwells were fundamental to life in the driest parts of India. Richard Cox traveled to northwestern India, I believe that's Gujarat, to document these spectacular monuments from a bygone era. Okay? And then if you come here, you actually don't have to read it. Not really. What I usually do is I go straight to the questions, is what I usually do. Another thing to notice about IELTS reading is you get a variety of activities. So for example, in these first 5 questions, you have to choose true, false, or not given. In this one here, you have to write down only one word from the passage. In this one right here, you have to write down one word and or a number from the passage. They give you this nifty little table. So as you guys can see, there is a lot more variety than you see on the TOEFL. There's a lot more variety with the way it looks, but not with the question types. So let me kind of tell you the fundamental difference. The TOEFL looks very similar, every question, but they measure different things. For example, TOEFL questions will measure your vocab, inference, factual, organization, author's purpose, previously referenced, sentence rephrasing, sentence addition, and then passage summary. It all looks very similar, but they're measuring different things. IELTS questions look different, but they're measuring the same thing. What are they measuring? So these questions all look different, but what are they really measuring? Just vocab. That's it. All they're really measuring is vocab and factual. Right? You just have to find it in the passage and then compare. Find it in the passage and compare. Find it in the passage and compare. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Let's do, there's no inference. There's no author's purpose. There's no passage summary. There's no sentence addition. There's no sentence rephrasing. There's no understanding pronouns. Nothing like that. All right. Let me show you how this works. Okay. So, examples of ancient stepwells can be found all over the world. Let's go to the passage here. Okay. During the 6th and 7th centuries, the inhabitants of the modern-day states of Gujarat and Rajasthan and northwestern India developed a method of gaining access to clean, fresh groundwater during the dry season, blah, 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 blah. However, the significance goes beyond blah, blah. Unique to this region, boom. Can we find these all over the world, yes or no? No, we cannot. So again, it's just a big vocab test. Unique is the opposite of all over the world. So what do I choose? True, false, or not given? I choose false. That's it. Okay, let's do the next one together. Stepwells had a range of functions, which means one function or more than one. More than one, right? So let's go to the passage. Now, another cool thing about IELTS is the answers go in order. So do I need to read paragraph 1 again? No. You can just keep going down. So in some ways, it's a lot easier than TOEFL. All right, during their heyday, they were places of gathering, leisure and relaxation and worship. So, wow, does that look like a range of functions, yes or no? Gathering, leisure, relaxation, worship, right? Water. So it seems like the correct answer to number 2 is going to be true. All right, I'm going to have you guys do number 3. The few existing stepwells in Delhi are more attractive than those found elsewhere. Everyone take about a minute or so. See if you can find this information. Okay, does everyone see where it talks about Delhi? Right here, right? Does it say that the Delhi stepwells are more attractive or less attractive? Do we have any information about the attractiveness of the Delhi stepwells? No, we don't. So what do we choose? We choose not given. Okay, we'll do number 4 together, and then you guys can do number 5. Okay? It took workers many years to build the stone steps. So let's take a look. Many years. As their name suggests, stepwells comprise a series of stone steps. All right. When the water level is high, to reach it, some wells are vast, others, I don't see it. Does anybody see how long it took them to make it? Others are more elaborate, down the thousands, but the majority have now fallen. Many are derelict. I don't see anything about that. So it looks like we're going to choose not given again. And then finally, number 5, I'll have you guys do this one. The number of steps above the water level in a stepwell altered during the course of a year. Of course, altered means changed, right? So did the number of steps change during the year? Let me know. I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, can I have a volunteer? Did the number of steps change? Yeah, this test is from book 10. All right. Hey, Vineeth, how are you?
Hey Greg, I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good. So did they change, yes or no, or not given, and what is your evidence?
Yes, I think they changed because the right side first paragraph it clearly says that as the water source as it reduces as it recedes the following rains when the water level was high the user needed only to descend few steps
Mm-hmm.
to reach it, but when it was low, several levels would have been negotiated.
Exactly. So good job, Vineeth. So everyone, the answer is true, because read this very carefully. When the water level was high, the user needed only to descend a few steps. So the number of steps was very low. When it was low, several levels, meaning they had to go, down more steps and more steps and more steps. Okay? Makes sense, everybody? So the correct answer is going to be true. That's it. I mean, that's IELTS. Yeah. And so the cool thing about this is, remember, everything goes in order, so you don't really have to read it. That's the cool thing. So, like, for example, all of these paragraphs we can kind of ignore. Okay? Not every single time, but, it's a general rule. Okay? So, for example, let's do number 6 together. Which part of some step wells provided shade for people? First of all, I'm looking for a part, and then I have to know what shade is. Can you guys tell me what shade is? What is shade? Yeah, shade means sun or no sun. It means no sun, shadow, protection from the sun, right? Maybe the passage will not use the word shade because that's too easy. All right, so here we go. Let's see if we can find it. I'm going to start here. Some wells, the others are more with long, built from stone. They also that shelter. Here we go. Sheltered visitors from the heat. Don't you guys agree that looks like shade? Doesn't that look like shade, everybody? So what was doing that? It was pavilions. Greg, what the hell is a pavilion? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Because we don't care what a pavilion is, we just care about the definition of shade. Shade means shelter from heat. So we write down the word pavilion. We don't care what a pavilion is, we just write down what it is. So pavilion. Cool. Make sense, everybody? All right, any questions about IELTS reading? Okay, I'm going to have you guys do 7 and 8. So go ahead and read 7 and 8, everybody. You get 20 minutes. Yeah, Manvi, you get 20 minutes to do this passage. Very similar to the TOEFL. Should we write pavilions or pavilions? I bet you both would work, but it does say which part, but I think both would work in this case, Priyash. Good question. All right, everyone, go ahead and read number 7 and 8. You're looking for a serious climatic event, and then finally you're looking for frequent visitors. Okay? Are you guys ready? All right, here we go. Good luck. Okay, can I have a volunteer? We're looking for the climatic event. The climate event. All right, let's go to Nikhil. Hey, Nikhil, where is it?
Hi, Greg.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Uh, the first one, there's to the left first three lines.
Okay. So what's the
Southern Rajasthan
climate
suffered
event?
drought.
Yeah, drought. Very good. And how do you know that that's a climatic event?
Suffered
Well,
in
that doesn't
8
tell
years.
me climate. How do I know drought is about climate?
Recent dry spells.
Yeah, and also the definition of drought, which means no rain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, it's just a big vocab test. Okay, good job. Can I have another volunteer? Who are the frequent visitors to the stepwells? Did anybody find this one? Okay, Vineeth. Hey, Vineeth.
Greg, I actually found it in the last paragraph where it says tourist flock
Yep,
to
exactly.
these wells.
So a lot of the paragraphs in the middle here are like detailed information about not about the visitors, right? It's more about like regions of India and this is famous for this and this is famous for that. But it finally says tourists flock to wells. And how do you know that they are frequent visitors? Where does it say frequent?
Hmm.
What word tells you frequent? What do you think?
I'm reading through the lines. Tourist flock to wells. I'm not sure, Greg.
Okay, it's actually because of the word flock. Whenever we say
Okay.
tourist flock, does it mean like one tourist or like many, many tourists?
It's people. It's many of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we get that frequent visitors. Okay. Again, just giving you guys more evidence that this is just a vocab test. That's all it is. It's just a vocab test. So what do we write down for number 7? We write down the word drought. What do we write down for this one right here? We write down the word tourists. Cool? Any questions? All right. I'm going to have you guys do this table by yourself. And you'll notice that this is going to really test your scanning skill. Scanning means finding information quickly, right? So what you're looking for are these names, right? Everyone agree? So you're going to go back to the passage and look for these names. So everyone, get out your phone. Get out your phone, because I'm going to have you guys take pictures so you know what to look at. All right. So everyone, go ahead and take a picture of this paragraph right here in Patan. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Yeah, the people from India have kind of an unfair advantage with this one. You guys, yeah, I know what a stepwell is. I visited one on my trip to Gujarat. All right. Everyone, paragraph number 2, go ahead and take a picture. And paragraph 3 down here. Okay, 10 seconds. 10 seconds. All right, and then finally, we have to take a few more. Go ahead and take a picture of these 2 paragraphs right here. And then last one is this paragraph right here. Okay, here we go, guys. Good luck. I'll give you about 5 minutes. Okay, are we guys done? Yeah, what'd you guys think? Do you need more time? Okay, done? Okay, you want more time? All right, how about let's do, wait, are you guys done or you need more time? Done. Done, okay. Seems like most of you are done. All right, here we go. So this is a really good example that it's just a vocab test. That's all it is. So for example, look at number 9. It's in excellent condition despite some kind of bad news, right? So if we go here and we kind of zoom in with my right there. So here's 2001. Incredibly, the ancient structure survived, which means it's in good condition, even though there was the earthquake. So the correct answer for this one is going to be earthquake. All right, go ahead and write that down. Look at number 10. Steps on the something produce a geometrical pattern. So if we come back here, I believe it's this one down here. All right, let's take a look. Including 4 sides of steps that descend to the bottom in a stunning geometrical formation. So where are the steps, everybody? The steps are on the sides. On the sides. So the correct answer for this one is going to be sides. This one right here looks like. Do they use the phrase looks like in the passage, or do they use something else? They use the word resemble. Right? So if we come back here, again, zoom in. Does everyone see resemble right there? What does it resemble? It resembles a tank. So the correct answer is going to be tank. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but okay. Looks more like a tank than a well. All right, somebody said steps on the 4 sides. Would that be the correct answer? I believe it would, because you're allowed to say one word and a number. So if you said 4 sides, I think you're okay. I think you're okay. All right, Reniji Ki Bowery we don't care about because there's no blanks. Chan Bowery we do care about. Now this one here, the key idea is provide a view. Provide a view. So let's go back to the passage. We're talking about, what is it? The Chan Bowery, right? Where is it? This one. Okay. In this paragraph, everybody, where does it say provide a view? If you can't find it, this is a very difficult problem. Where does it say provide a view? Isn't it going to be overlook? Everyone see the word overlook? If something overlooks something, doesn't it provide a view? Yes or no? So the question is, what provides the view? Verandas. What if I don't know the meaning of verandas? Is that a problem? I don't know what verandas mean. No, it's not a problem at all. What you need to know is you need to know that overlook means provide a view. So the correct answer is going to be veranda. So we write down verandas. And then finally, the last one. Do you see the word levels? Level is a synonym of the word floor or stories, right? So if we go back to the passage here. Oops. Let me zoom in. Okay. They're using the word stories. They're not using the word levels. It is 9 stories deep, with the last 2 being underwater. So what do we write down? We write down underwater. And that's it, guys. That's the IELTS. Pretty straightforward. It's just scanning factual vocab, scanning factual vocab, scanning factual vocab. So we have about 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, I'll take anybody's questions. I will be giving you homework. If nobody has any questions, we can wrap up the class a little bit early, but I'm here. Does anybody have any questions about IELTS listening and or speaking? How many passages in all? 3 passages. Yep, the IELTS does 3 passages. Salman says it's harder than TOEFL. Yeah, I don't blame you guys. If you think it's harder than TOEFL, I mean, that's your opinion. I don't think you're wrong. I think sometimes the TOEFL appeals to some people and sometimes the IELTS appeals to some people. How many questions? Usually it's about 13 questions or 14 questions, Ayush. J. Raj says, what are we doing in the next session? We're doing more reading. But in the next session, I'm going to have you guys do an entire reading passage, and then we'll talk about it together. Yes, the reading passages do increase in difficulty. Yes, they do. A little bit. So this is reading passage number 1. Reading passages 2 and 3 tend to be a little bit harder. Anupa says, about listening, it becomes difficult to simultaneously read and listen in multiple options. I agree with you, Anupa. It's just something you're going to have to work on. The writing class will probably be next week. All right, we have a question from Niaz. Hey, Niaz, how are you?
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
My question is, what are the difficulty level, right? Passage 1, passage 2, and passage 3.
Passage 1 is usually the easiest. Passage 3 is usually the most difficult, but we're not talking about crazy changes in difficulty. They just become a little bit more difficult.
Okay, how can we manage our time in exam time?
Well, I mean, you manage your time, in my opinion, by not really reading the passage. You know that the questions go in order. You know that you just have to use the scanning technique. You know that the vocab changes. So if you do that, you can move quite quickly through it.
Okay, cool.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Good. Any more questions, guys? Ishmam says, can we have speaking instead of writing next week? I typically go in order of the actual test. On the IELTS, the thing you will do last is speaking. So I'm probably going to be doing that last as well. So the order of the IELTS is listening, reading, writing, speaking. Listening, reading, writing, speaking. Jameen says, are all of the questions as straightforward as the one we saw now? Pretty much. Yeah, the IELTS is a much more straightforward test, Jameen. It's just about the changing vocab, the factual. Yep. Ayush, we will be giving some homework, don't worry. When will we be done with the whole IELTS prep? We're probably doing about 1 week for each section, so about a month. About a month. All right, guys, I hope you're enjoying IELTS. I hope you're learning its tricks. There are not many of them. It's basically just vocab. And I'll be giving you homework. Okay? Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.